And welcome to the Link Online. And as you can see, this is a very special edition of the program because we are here live at the Salon de l'Immigration, the Immigrant Expo here in the Palais des Congrès at Montreal. Beautiful big hall full of people on this Thursday afternoon. Lots and lots of booths here, all kinds of action going on. It's a salon, an expo especially designed for newcomers to this country, immigrants and refugees who are trying to find out how to get by in this very new and often very strange country with very different attitudes and ways of living and so on. So we have a whole bunch of special guests with us as well who are part of the people exposing with booths here to help people along. And I guess what we'll do is we'll start out with a self-introduction to get you to tell us a little bit about yourself. We're going to start out with you, Nicolas, because I know you're a very busy man. You've got a lot on your plate today and you can't stay with us very long. So just give us a brief introduction and your title.
Yeah, sure. Hello to everybody. My name is Nicolas Bellier. I'm part of Board of Directors for Immigrant Quebec, with the organization who set this expo, this immigration expo, for the 7th time ever since 2012.
All right, thank you very much. Jacques, a little bit?
Hi, good morning. My name is Jacques. I'm a communication agent at CACI, which stands for Centre d'appui aux communautés immigrantes, which is a non-profit organization that helps newcomers settling in Montreal and Quebec.
All right, Abdullah.
My name is Abdullah Daoud. I'm the Executive Director of the Refugee Center and DevBlock's Social Innovation Catalyst here in Montreal. We help newcomers get integrated economically, socially, and academically.
All right, Maria Gracia.
Hello, my name is Maria Gracia, and I'm the head of the Mentoring and Peer Support program at the YWCA of Montreal.
And finally, Roshan.
Hi everyone, my name is Roshan and I'm the IELTS Marketing Officer for the British Council. The IELTS test, which is one of the world's biggest, actually the world's biggest English language test.
All right, so we're going to have a little bit from each one during the course of the next 45
Hey, what about
minutes.
us?
No, I'm getting to that. And of course, you recognize our regular host here. On my right is Lynn Desjardins.
With the big mouth. Hi, everyone.
And of course, Levon Savons.
Levon Savons with a shiny head here.
And we're very happy to be here.
Yes, it's a very exciting thing, this event. I'm just surprised there are so many people here on a Thursday afternoon. Nicolas, we're going to start with you a little bit to explain just exactly, first of all, what is Immigrant Quebec, the organization that you work with?
Well, it's a non-profit organization. It was founded a little bit more than 10 years, 2006, I think, 2006 was created. And we promote all the information for newcomers, for people who want to immigrate in Quebec, but newcomers, refugees, international students, temporarily people who want to stay here, to work here.
Now, this, as you said, this was the 7th edition of this program. How has it evolved over that time? How is this one different than say, the previous ones?
Well, I think we grow each year to have more exhibitors. This year we have 180 exhibitors in this fair. So we increase, and we have to. This is a part of our success. We have to select and to refuse. Unfortunately, some people want to be here, to be part of this fair. And this year is particular. We have had a strong signal this morning because we have had the chance to have, of course, the Minister of Immigration, Mr. Hertel, but also the mayors of Montreal and Quebec. So we see that there is really a sense of importance of immigration for the province.
Now, I should just mention that if anybody wants to jump in with a question while the other exhibitors are here, don't be shy at all. Now, Nicolas, I'm just wondering, what's the attendance figure for this kind of event?
Well, first of it, it's to create a link for the newcomers, right. to bring at on the same site all people who are intervening in immigration, regions, associations, companies who is looking to hire new people, many associations. We want to keep this, and we know that for the integration for newcomers, the most important thing is to find a job. So we help them also to, for example, to recreate their CVs, to help them to share, and we are here as facilitator. Okay.
About how many people show up at the event like this over the course of the...
We expect, we are stable around 10,000 people coming during the 2 days, and so this is a number we expect to have tonight to be at 10,000, around 10,000 people.
Now that's quite a substantial figure, though.
Yeah, it is, yes.
Now on your website I notice you have pamphlets for people who are looking for specific aspects. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we have pamphlets who are accessible online. Of course, it's completely free. All we do is completely training. We want to keep this, okay? So we have s'installer au Québec, entrepreneurship in Quebec. We have it in French, in English, and also in Spanish. So we have a few guides accessible on our website, immigrant.com.
What's your association with the Quebec government then?
Well, we work closely together. I think that Quebec government is very sensible that an association can do this, you know, and we work closely with them, and we want to change the mentality of immigration. You know, immigration is a chance for the countries. Is a chance for the. Sometimes people look immigration as invasion or something like this. We must put a hold on this. People are looking to work, to give a chance to them, to their children, and to live in peace. And I think in Quebec and in Canada we're in a good place.
And of course, if anybody is listening elsewhere in the world and they want to find out a bit more, the website?
Yeah, we have the website of immigrantquebec.com, and so people can have some information on it and can share also their experience, of course.
All right, Immigrant Quebec. Nicolas Bellier, thank you so much for this. I know that
Thank you very much.
You're eager to rush off and complete other duties. Thank you so much for coming in for a few minutes with us.
Thank you very much to you, and thank you. I thank you all for your participation, because the success of this event is exhibitors and it's people who share their time to help each other. So thank you very much to everybody here.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we continue here live from the Salon de l'Immigration at the Palais des Congrès in Montreal, and we're going to talk to Jacques Penel now. Jacques, you have an interesting experience because you've come from abroad. You've come here, and you are a perfect example of some of the things that people have to go through that are attending this exposition.
Yeah, exactly. I arrived about 3 years ago. So I work for CACI, which is the Centre d'appui aux communautés migrantes. It's a non-profit organization founded in 1983. So we will soon celebrate its 25th anniversary, and it's been growing over the years. And the last few years, we've been receiving about 15,000 newcomers every year.
So what kind of services do you offer?
So we offer all kinds of services, because the mission of the CACI is to help newcomers settling in Montreal and Quebec. So it can be paperwork. When you arrive, maybe you will allow me to use a metaphor. Imagine you have a plant in a flower pot. Okay, so you come from a different country, that's the plant. And you see this plant growing, but at some stage it stops growing because it doesn't have enough soil. So you want to transplant the plant in your garden, okay? So you transplant it, but then the plant needs some time to adapt. So what we do is that we help people adapt to their new situation. So for the plant, probably you will water a little bit more the plant, or you will cut the branches that is not the light will go through the branches. That's what we do. We help people finding first with the paperwork, then we will help them find probably a place to live, and then a job, and then we help them with the school for the children, everything you can think of.
Can you give us an example of what you would do? For example, if someone comes to you with a problem, what kind of problem might they present to you, and how would you resolve that?
Yeah, so basically what we do is that we receive the newcomers individually, and then we assess the situation. And from there, depending on the situation, we offer different types of services. Yeah.
Is it mostly like a referral service? Do you refer them to other services, or do you have a large staff which can actually
Exactly.
deliver?
We are about 40 people, and we speak almost all languages. Well, maybe exaggerating, but most of the languages, the main languages in the world, including Russian, Spanish, French, English, Armenian, Arabic, you name it. So yeah, basically, so we assess the situation of each individual, and from that we'll offer different services, because some people will come, for example, from the Francophone Africa, and so they won't really need French classes, but other people would come from non-Francophone countries and they'll need French classes, for example.
For people who don't know Canada, how important is it to know French in Quebec when you're immigrating?
Well, it's basic, you know. Knowing French in Montreal and Quebec is a necessity. You know, so you have to be aware of that, and probably most people who come are not aware of it. So, if you want to settle in Montreal and in Quebec, if you want to be able to exchange with your neighbors, or if you want to go and do your grocery, the shopping, whatever, you need to speak French. So, what we do is we have French classes, and they're financed by the Ministry of Immigration. So the teachers are from the ministry, and we provide the premises. And we have for each session, but we have 4 sessions every year. For each session, we have about between 40 and 45 classes of 20 students. So it's a big center for what they call francisation.
Now, Jacques, your own situation, as I mentioned at the top, you are kind of an example of a newcomer here. Tell us about your experience. Where are you from? What did you know about Canada before you came here, and what surprised you?
The reason I gave the metaphor is because, there was some point.
You were the plant.
I'm the plant. I'm the plant, but the whole family is a plant. So I was growing. The family was growing. Well, I just have 2 kids. The family was growing, but at some stage we felt there wasn't enough space to grow. So we decided, okay, what about Canada, the second biggest country in the world?
We do have space.
Exactly. So we decided, why not? And especially for the children, I guess, but also for us, my wife and I, we don't really want to sacrifice ourselves. But for the children, I think it's a good opportunity, and for us professionally probably as well.
So what did you know about Canada before you made this decision?
That's the point. If I have to give an advice to the newcomers before they come to Canada, is that they get as much information as they can. And if they can, come here as a tourist, probably, if you have the means to do so, and see what Canada has to offer, because you may be disappointed.
Yeah.
What were the kinds of things that surprised you?
Personally, well, the fact that you have to speak French. For example, my wife, she speaks French, but probably written speech her written speech is not as good as her spoken French. So she's now learning French at UQAM, the university. So that's one thing. I think newcomers should be aware of these kind of things, and obviously. The other advice I would give is that they should set an objective, their own objective. What do they want? Why are they immigrating? So that's the basics if you want to come here to Canada.
But now you said one should do as much online research kind of thing or other research as possible. But even that probably doesn't prepare you for the reality of it. Was that the case?
The reality, yeah. I mean, the reality, there is a reality, and you probably don't know, because the image of Canada outside Canada is like,
Mounties and polar bears and
yeah, you can say that. But there is a reality, and for most skilled workers, for example, they might not find the job that they're looking for at least at the beginning. So you should be aware of that. Yeah.
And the weather.
The weather coming from Barcelona, yeah. And this particular winter has been pretty long, I'd say. But I suppose if you get if you'll get used to it, and the important thing is that you have to be active. I'd say you have to, to go out, because that's the problem with newcomers. They tend to stay with their own community or at home with their own family, and they should go out, and they should, the word that you would hear is networking. Like if you want to integrate in the society, you have to start networking as soon as possible.
Well, that's a perfect way to introduce, Jacques, thank you very much. It's a perfect way to introduce Maria Grazia Girardi, because networking is something that your organization does, right?
Yes, we do networking and also mentoring. So the YWCA is the oldest community center for women in Montreal. We've been around for over 140 years, and we provide different services for women, girls, and their families.
Now, when someone comes to you, what can you offer them? For example, I know, for example, that somebody who comes to you may not have certain resources that you can provide, such as, for example, easy access to computers.
Right. We have community services like a legal information clinic, housing services to provide a safe and secure environment for women. We also offer employability programs, and you mentioned access to computers, so all kinds of supports and facilities to help women in their job search process.
Indeed, you even have, for newcomers, you even have a sort of an internship in a way to get used to commercial operations through a 6-month period at one of your shops.
Right. So we have 4 different programs, and 2 of them come with an internship at the end, where women who may have been away from the workforce for a long time, either because they have children or because they come from a different country and they haven't had that first Canadian experience, can add that to their CV and have a recent positive work experience in Canada. And you're mentioning one of our programs, which is called Fringues et Compagnie, and we have a clothing store at the Y where we receive donations by big brands as well as other secondhand clothing, and the women in that program are trained in retail and customer service. They work at the boutique, and as well they follow other workshops on job search and employability. And so that prepares them for the real world.
And they actually get paid too, right?
And they get paid.
Which is, of course, something that newcomers certainly need as a form of income.
Yes, they do get paid for it.
How important is that first Canadian experience?
It seems to be quite important. Maybe other panelists can pitch in on this, but it seems to be a perceived barrier for some of the immigrant people who come here and have a lot of work experience in their countries, and that is not always recognized or at the same level. So it's important to have that, but volunteering can be a good way to gain some experience in Canada and Quebec, and at the Women's Y we also have a volunteer center where we accept women and also men for some positions.
And how do they find you? How do the immigrants find you?
We have a website. We're on Facebook. We are located in downtown Montreal. We're easily accessible by metro and other public transportation.
I'm just wondering how, when an immigrant comes, is there anyone who refers them to you?
The local employment centers know very well about a program, so they refer us new participants and new clients for our programs. We are also present in job fairs such as, today's immigration fair.
Of course.
But we try to...
So besides the clothing shop, what are some of the other programs?
The other programs offer one-on-one support to women who are looking to integrate the workforce or go back to school. They can get career counseling, job search workshops, help with their CV, cover letter, things like that, mock interviews. And we also have a mentorship program where they get paired with a professional in the same field that they're interested in working.
Wow.
So they can have some guidance, support, encouragement throughout their job search process.
Now, there is a bit of a limitation in the sense that there's an eligibility question here, right?
For our employability programs, they are funded by Emploi Québec, so we follow their criteria. Women have to be between 18 and 65 years of age, live on the island of Montreal, and be Canadian citizens, permanent residents, or accepted refugees. But for other programs at the Y, for example, our community services, which include physical activities, art therapy, and all kinds of support and resources, they're open to all women in the community, as well as the housing services as well.
Now, you mentioned CV preparation, curriculum vitae or resume, as the case may be. When someone comes to you from another country, how different do you find their way of doing things compared to what is expected here in North America?
It can be a bit different sometimes. People will put a picture of themselves on their CV, which is not something that you found in resumes here. Although with LinkedIn, that is changing a bit. Some people add their marital status, their number of children, and all of those things are things that shouldn't be necessarily disclosed before an interview or even during an interview.
Also, the format, the layout, the way we do things is much different, isn't it, as well?
Right.
So these are things that if someone came to you, you can help advise them, give them, and as you say, one-on-one mentorship. That's tremendous, you know?
Yes. It's very fulfilling also for the professional women and men who participate in this kind of relationship where they really get to know a person from a different background and really see the progress that they're making, help them network and expand their contacts and especially develop their autonomy and self-confidence. That is one of the biggest things that our mentors and peer helpers help our participants with.
And are the mentors volunteers?
They are volunteers.
What are some of the most common issues that people come to you seeking help for?
In terms of employability or all the other things? Well,
all the other things.
Because we also have housing services. We have women who are dealing with homelessness. We also see a lot of women who are isolated, socially isolated, people who have faced violence and conjugal violence in their lives. Also, many things.
So when somebody comes, coming to a new country like this can often be very stressful. So people might come to you, women might come to you saying they have problems to deal with, and you have counseling efforts for them?
Right. We have social workers, psychologists, and even the women who come for the employability programs have access to a social counselor who will give them resources for other aspects of their lives besides the job part.
Okay, and the website, once again, if people are listening and would like to learn a little bit more about all the services that you offer.
Right. It's ydesfemmesmtl.org.
Okay, Y-Y?
Yes,
okay.
Y-D-E-S.
As opposed to W.
Double, yes.
So non-francophones, it would be Y-D-E-S, F-E-M-M-E-S.
MTL.org.
Or the YWCA Montreal, right?
Right, and then Google will complete the rest.
All right.
Abdullah Daoud, tell us a little bit about the Refugee Center. This sounds like a very important service that you offer.
Well, I think we all do great services, all do great important services. So first of all, thanks for having me on, and thanks for me sharing the mic with really inspiring individuals here as well. The Refugee Center was an organization that started a couple of years ago. We kind of studied the landscape of the services that are being offered, and we didn't want to be one of those organizations that's repeating services. We wanted to kind of pinpoint areas where there's a bit of a void and really step in. One of the things that we found very quickly was there was a lot of missing English proficiency examinations prep for immigrants and refugees, mainly because why they needed to learn English, but also to get prepared to get admitted into university or a higher education and a postgraduate education, because that's the requirement for all universities that are English speaking. So within our first year, we did the IELTS prep, so that our council member here sits on that board, and we had just a few, maybe 30 or so students, and then our second and third semester we were around 250 students, and the class keeps growing and growing and growing. And within our first year of operations, we were able to admit 150, refugees into university just on that program alone, because that's the one thing that they were looking for. Aside from that, we offer, job training services. We also help with French classes as well. That's very important. We try to do a unique spin, I guess, as far as social integration is concerned. And by the way, if I keep talking, you can cut me off, ask a question whenever you want.
No,
I'm
it's
not
interesting.
that type of, but yeah, so basically, all our classes, we try to do what we call a 70-30 split, or an 80-20 split, where we make sure that the class is a majority immigrant and refugee makeup, but there are like 20% or so that are not, that are local community members. That way they can expand what we call their social network. So for them to integrate a bit faster, get to know more people in the community, use them as references for jobs, or to kind of, go out and get to know, explore Montreal with somebody who's been around here for a while.
Tell us about your tech boot camp.
All right, so that was very quick. That was very
maybe we should go to that one as well.
So one of the programs that we offer is an area called the DevBlock. It's kind of like our sister NPO. And what DevBlock does is it focuses on the entrepreneurship spirit of immigrants and refugees. And we pinpointed that, Montreal is shifting towards a tech type of economy. And we wanted to get migrants involved in that. So what we do is that we offer technology workshops. So we teach them how to code and how to program different mobile applications, web applications, or maybe just for the sake of it. We also have a boot camp in which they experience about an 8 to 9 week boot camp where they actually build the project that they want to build with industry professionals. So we have different, all our instructors work in industry, so some work for Morgan Stanley, some work for, one of them works for IBM, the other works for Google, so it's a really good way for them to get to know the industry and learn technical skills that are highly in demand in Montreal.
So are you constantly in contact with businesses and industries looking for people to cooperate with you and coordinate with you?
Yeah, we're one of those annoying people that call companies. we do that on a regular basis, but we also we try to actually encourage them to build their own businesses. Like, I'll give you a couple of examples. We have this one's it's kind of a cute story. I always say cute, but it's a. We have these two Syrian individuals who started a catering company based on a dessert that was local to Aleppo that doesn't exist in Canada, and they wanted to make it Canadian. So they brought it and they dipped one version in maple syrup, and then they made another one that's vegan, and that's their Canadian spin on it. And they've been catering actually quite a while now, just specifically based on the dessert.
Okay, next year you're going to bring them with you.
Yeah, I think you should have brought some.
We have another one called Custom Heats, and what it does is you go online, you pick your own ingredients, and you get a customized hot sauce to your door, which was also a very adorable idea. And it's been growing. It's been launched now for a few months. It's customheats.com. I'm going to plug them in just because
Sure.
it's my job to do so. And we also, another cool thing that we do is that through DevBlock, we encourage individuals, Canadians and refugees and migrants alike, to create social innovation that tackles specific problems that society is facing today. So one of the projects that we're very proud of that we're launching very soon is called Luna. It was started by a bunch of local engineers here in Montreal with the assistance of different migrants and refugees throughout the time period it was being developed. And we want to tackle the asylum-seeking issue. So the refugee claimant issue here is it's growing in Quebec. And one of the main things that a lot of people are facing are issues with the actual forms. So filling up these forms, they go anywhere between 40 to 80 pages, depending on the situation. And all the questions are repetitive. It's very error-prone. So we developed an AI, so an artificial intelligence, that will communicate with the user, extract the information from them with a basically natural conversational flow. It won't ask you your name 18 times like the form does. It'll only ask it you once. Take that information and then input it into the forms themselves.
Wow.
And it's done in any language of choice. So you can speak to it in Arabic, Spanish, English, French, Italian, German, and it'll output the form in English or French for you.
Wow.
So those are the things that we're trying to do to try to ease the process, make things less of a headache, less intimidating, and also help out, not only the users but the government as well in dealing with it.
Now, people taking part of this, do they have to have some kind of basic computer skills and knowledge? And are these tech type people who are coming from other countries? Or
well, it's a mix of both. There's a lot of people who already have that tech experience, and what they're looking to do is to do anything to kind of gain experience, to get into the field. Just as my colleague said, like, experience is very important. So what we do is that we help them build up backlogs of projects, and they take ownership in it as well, right? So it's not like we own the project. This is something that they do, and they gain experience to that. And then there's individuals who are seeking to get into that field, but don't necessarily know where to start and don't necessarily want to do a software engineering degree or computer science degree. They just want it as an extra skill. And so it ranges in levels, and we offer all those different levels.
All right, at this point, we're going to take a bit of a pause here because we have to say goodbye to listeners at World Radio Paris in France, and also the radio station in Keitel, Germany. So we thank you very much for joining us for this portion of the program. I'd like you all to stay with us, of course, because we're going to continue a little bit after this. We are broadcasting from the Salon de l'Immigration here at the Palais des Congrès in downtown Montreal. And of course, we have your regular host, myself, and then Levon Savuntz and Lynn Desjardins, and we'll be back with you again next week, probably from our studios once again with, who knows, maybe even Marie-Claude will bring us some food. And we continue now, and Abdullah, you were talking about some of the things that your service offers, and I'm just wondering, we should clarify that these are free, right?
Yes, they are. Everything we do, all the services we offer are for free.
And that's the same with Marie Gracia, your service?
Right.
And,
our services are also free and also offered in French and English.
And Jacques?
Definitely free, yeah.
And how important is this for somebody coming in, that they have these services for free?
Well, obviously, you have to understand that some people, well, they don't always come from the same background, so some people will have more means than others. For those who don't, for example, we have a food bank. Yeah, exactly. So for a minimum fare, they can have food for 6 months once a week. So yes. Yeah, we do receive people who unfortunately don't have the means.
Marie Gracia, is it a surprise to some of your newcomers that these services are free, then they're coming from other countries?
I think people are happily surprised to see the vast array of services and resources that exist in Montreal to help people get integrated compared to the countries where they're coming from, where they may have a social and family network, but people are more left on their own, and they come here and there's a lot of information out there. So happy surprise.
Yeah. Now we also have, of course, with us Roshan Patrou, who is from the British Council, and you've been listening to all this, and your service is specialized as well. Tell us a little bit about the British Council, first of all.
So we part own the IELTS test. We own that with Cambridge Language Assessment and IDP Education.
So you have to explain what the IELTS test is.
So the IELTS test is it's the world's largest language test, and it stands for IELTS stands for International English Language Testing System. So there's 4 parts. It assesses 4 parts to your language: listening, reading, writing, and speaking.
And why is this important for this service important?
So the IELTS test is important for 2 main reasons. You have 2 types of tests. You have the academic test, which is required by many universities and colleges for entrance onto their programs, especially if you're a non-native speaker. You have to prove your English. And people would take the IELTS test for that reason. But also for immigration purposes, we have another form of the test, which is called the general training test. And that would be a requirement for IRCC and a lot of the immigration programs that newcomers would need to come to Canada.
Now, just explain exactly what that need is for somebody who's listening in another country and may not understand exactly what that means, the fact that you have to have a certain proficiency.
Well, I mean, if you're coming here, for example, on an express entry visa, and I'm not an immigration consultant, so don't take my advice as gospel, but if you are coming here on the express entry visa on a point system, for example, English language proficiency can help you get more points. So the better you get in your test, then the better chances you have to be selected in the pool to enter Canada. But if you come here as a permanent resident and you want to become a citizen, you also have to show that you have a basic knowledge of English. Well, in Quebec it would be English or French. So again, you would do the IELTS test to show that, to prove that.
So you give what, lessons, preparation for the test, example test kind of thing?
Yeah. So part of one of the reasons why we're here is to tell. Firstly, we know that taking a test, any test, can be quite challenging, and we want to help people as much as possible. So through our website, IELTS.ca, we offer a lot of preparation material to help support people to do their best in the test. So we have example tests that they can take so they can measure where they are now. We also have lots of extra preparation material. We have webinars. We've just started a new webinar where people can come on, understand about test tips, ask questions. We have online teaching resources. So there's a lot of that, and a majority, most of it is free as well. And we just want to kind of send that message out that we're there, and we're there to support people to do the best that they can in the test.
Are there sample tests or sample examples on the web that people can sort of test themselves with?
Yeah, there's reading and listening examples where they can take the test. They can find out their score, and they can find out which level they're at. And there's also, we have a lot of videos where you can see people taking examples of people taking the speaking test. So you can understand the types of questions that are asked. We also have example writing tests that you can see online, so you can see the types of questions that are asked in the test and the types of answers that are given and the kind of scores you would get for a certain type of answer. So there's a lot of material online for people to prepare and get ready for it.
And again, if somebody wanted to check it out, the website address would be?
The website address is IELTS.ca. And
that's IE.
So yeah, it's IELTS.ca, and we have a special section on there which is the Prepare for IELTS section, and that kind of brings people on a kind of journey of how they would prepare for the test. They would obviously first need to know the contents of the test and the format, and then they would look at examples, and then they would have the webinar. So we've kind of set it up so it's like a journey. As soon as they find out that they have to do the test, what steps would they go through to prepare themselves for test day? Yeah, all of that can be found on our website.
All right, very good. Thank you very much. And patiently sitting on the end of the table we have, and I hope I get this, Swad Wared.
Exactly.
Now, tell us a little bit about, we had everybody introduce themselves a little bit at the beginning, so tell us a little bit about your operation.
Yeah, well, actually, sorry for my voice. I work at National Bank, and the reason we're here is that National Bank, we're very involved in the newcomers area. So we have a couple of partnerships with different organizations who help people to settle in Canada. And we participate as well in these kind of events to inform people sorry for that, about the banking Canadian system.
Which can be very different from
Which can be very different, exactly. The reason, and as well, we do a lot of presentations to newcomers to explain them the Canadian banking system as well, since there are a lot of differences.
Now, do you have advice in different languages as well? Because financial information can be very tough even for somebody who speaks English or French fluently. So what about somebody who's a newcomer for whom this is a second and third language? Are there services available at banking institutions with people who speak foreign languages?
Well, definitely the advisor at the different branches, obviously they all speak French and English, but we have a big variety of languages spoken as well by different advisors. And maybe just to add to that, in HR sector, National Bank, we've had a couple of prices on diversity, since we are a bit from the employers who hire the most diverse employees from diversity. So there are a lot of different advisors that are there in order to serve people in different languages and explain the banking system.
Are people who come a little bit intimidated by Canadian banks? I mean, when they come from other countries, are they saying, oh, you know, it's difficult to understand how things are going on, I don't want to deal with a bank kind of thing?
Well, definitely we see that a lot. You know, there are a lot of different elements that are not present in other banking systems. For example, I can give a couple of examples. Only the credit, the cards. Here we have the debit card and the credit card. This is something that is really new to a lot of people. For example, a lot of people coming from Europe, they have only one card, which is la carte bleue, which makes both. Here we really have to explain that it's the debit card and the credit card, two different cards. I would say another element that is really different is the credit history. This is an element that people, they really it's not present in other countries, and it's such an important element to know here in Canada, because you really have to have a credit history in order to eventually it serves to different goals. First of all, to have a credit eventually. So for someone who would like to settle here, to buy a house, to buy a car eventually, and have a loan, it is really important to have a credit history. Even for
how do people establish a credit history?
Yeah, exactly. So this is definitely from the advices that we give to people, and to tell them the importance to have one. And one of the easiest way to make it is to get a credit card. So if I had an advice to give today, is once you arrive to Canada, obviously you're going to open your account, but ask for your credit card in order to, and what is important is to use it at certain time.
And to pay it off.
And to pay it off, exactly. And you know, this way people will get this credit history, but the problem is that the credit notion can be very bad seen from other people. They just don't understand why they would go to credit if they already have the amount in their account.
Right.
So this is the reason we have to explain them the importance here. This is the way it works. Get your credit card, use it a little bit just to get your credit history.
All right, we're almost nearing the end of the program. So what I want to do is perhaps let each of you sort of do your own 1-minute commercial for your operation. Even though, of course, this is community operations and most of it is free, I'll let you sort of do your own promo, as it were. Abdullah, let's start with you.
So
what
awkward. I've never done a promo for a not-for-profit.
Well, the Refugee Center.
So the Refugee Center can be found at www.therefugeecenter.org. We offer an abundance of services. So if you're looking for English classes, English proficiency examination, entrance into university, if you're looking to start your own business, tech workshops, and really anything, we're here to help. So please contact us and reach out to us. We're in a booth here today as well if you're around.
Maria Gracia.
So the Women's Y of Montreal offers a lot of different services for women, girls, and their families, housing services, community services, employability services, yeah, I'd be happy to help anyone who's in a situation.
And just Google YWCA Montreal, right?
Yep.
All right. Jacques Penel.
You hadn't mentioned the website. It's CASI-BC for Bordeaux-Cartierville, because we are located there, .org. What the advice I would give to newcomers is not to rely on the community, but to come as soon as possible and see us, because we have all the services that will help them settle here in Quebec.
And CACI is C-A-C-I, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, very good. Roshan, to you?
Yep, and our website, www.ielts.ca, is very much the one-stop shop for everything IELTS. You can book your test there, you can find your closest test center, and in order to prepare for the test, we have an excellent preparation section, so please take advantage of many of the free resources that we have on that website, www.ielts.ca. We're going to be at booth 38 if you have any questions today.
All right, and Saoud?
Yes, Suad.
Suad, yes.
No problem. So actually, National Bank, since we're very involved with the newcomers, we have the most competitive offer for newcomers, which is 3 years of free banking. So for 3 years, they don't have to worry about, they can do as much transactions that they want for 3 years. We also have this phone assistance service, which is a phone service that our clients for 1 year, they can call. And if they have any questions, it could be regarding finance, but it also could be regarding usual life, which is finding school for their children, or knowing about different schools or kindergarten for their children. There are professionals of newcomers that can help them to settle. So for us, it's not only opening an account and giving a credit card, but it's also really helping the client to settle. And we have other advisors who can give a lot of advice to people. And it's nbc.ca/newcomers.
I volunteer Mark to put all those websites up on our site so that anyone can find them.
No, I volunteer the man who's off camera, Leo Jimeno, who occasionally shows up in studio with us as well. Listen, I'd like to thank you all very, very much for spending a few minutes with us today here at the Salon de l'Immigration at the Palais des Congrès in downtown Montreal. It's an important event if you're a newcomer or planning to come to Canada. These are the kind of operations where you can come in and get all kinds of advice from all kinds of services. Whether you're looking for a job or looking for advice, you can get that here. We offer all kinds of valuable, valuable advice to help you integrate into Canada. And that's about it for today for the program, The Link Online. We are online today. My name is Mark Montgomery, and with us our regular host, Levon Savons.
Hello.
And Lynn Desjardins.
Goodbye.
And we'll see you back in the studio next week on Friday. Take care until then. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.